No, that's fine. So we got a Acura MDX, and the trim on the dash is destroyed. So by you, right?
Yes.
So we got parts from the dealer, OEM parts, 2 pieces of plastic for about $200.
Very expensive pieces of plastic.
Yeah, it's an expensive lesson. Don't put your boots on the dash.
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and slap them on. No, that's fine. So we got a Acura MDX, and the trim on the dash is destroyed. So by you, right?
Yes.
So we got parts from the dealer, OEM parts, 2 pieces of plastic for about $200.
Very expensive pieces of plastic.
Yeah, it's an expensive lesson. Don't put your boots on the dash.
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and slap them on. Trust me, nobody's worried about the trash on. Yeah, so it was pretty easy to put on. It took like 10 seconds. But looks like a whole different car, especially when you've been driving like this for like what, 6 months. So we still got the other side to do. So on the driver's side, another piece of plastic.
That's for the...
Okay, so on the driver's side, you can see the piece that's broken off over here. I believe this just pops right out. Yep, just like that. You can see where the tabs are all broken off. Probably not. So anyways, we have a replacement part right here. And let's go ahead and get it installed. Okay, so there we go. We got the new part installed. That one's also installed. Yep, looks good. Pretty easy install. Let's move on to the next thing.
Mind the trash.
Alright, so we just did the interior trim panels on the dash.
Yep.
And we just put new stabilizer bar bushings. The old ones were worn out.
Brakes.
And now we just put all new front brakes on it. So we're almost done here. And that'll be it for this Acura. Alright, so we got a 98 Mustang. At least I think it's a 98. And the customer just dropped this part off. And it goes onto the fuel filler neck right here. The thing is, I've never done this job before, so I'm not really sure if I could just pull out the filler neck, or do I have to drop the entire gas tank. So if anyone's ever done this job before, please leave a comment and let me know what I have to do, just so I get a heads up. Okay, so this is the first time a customer ever reported that their wheel was on fire. So it got towed in. I kind of expected to see like a seized up caliper or something, or I don't know, a seized up wheel bearing. I don't know, I can't really. So anyway, the pistons on the caliper just went in perfectly fine. There's nothing at all. The wheel bearing, I could move it with my hand. It's not seized up. So I'm not suspecting any of that. But if you look at the rotor first, let's look at the back side. So that's the back side of the rotor. Here's the pad. As you can see, it doesn't really look normal. There's a lot of something on there. And if you look right here at the rotor, there's clearly a hot spot. So I don't know what really to make out of this besides get the brakes changed. I don't feel right telling him that it would need a wheel bearing or a caliper, because I just don't think that's the case. So we got a Chrysler 300 here, and a while ago, while it was here for other maintenance, I noticed that they kind of broke the dipstick handle off. So I just went ahead and drilled a little hole in it, and I put the screw in it, and temporarily it was working fine. But the customer actually brought me this replacement one. But now they say they can't get it out again. Once again, it's stuck, and they say the screw just kind of pulled right out. So just I don't know, it seems like it was moving pretty fine to me. I'm just gonna get some pliers and see if it comes out. Alright, so let's go ahead and try to yank it out. That was pretty easy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put the new one in. There's no need to watch me put a dipstick in. Okay, so I thought I was done with this Chrysler 300, but the customer wants me to look at an oil leak because they just did an oil change, and apparently it's dripping out the oil so fast that they have to keep adding oil. So they've been to different shops, and they say that they can't see a physical leak, or they don't see where it's coming from. So they asked me to look at it, and it's only been here up on the ramp for maybe about a minute or two, and I could already see drips on the ground right there. So, yep. So just let me investigate and try to find out where this oil is coming from. Okay, so I just went ahead and wiped this all off. If you look closely, you can see all this aluminum is like scraped. Obviously the car has been in a front end accident, and I know this for a fact. So what it looks like is going on here, you can see all this has been hit, like scraped across. So if you wipe the oil right here and look closely, there is a hairline crack right here. And you could even, if you just keep looking at this, you could see the oil start to develop, like the little puddle dripping out of it. So that's just one leak. If you look up here, you can see oil right there, and you see it dripping off of that, which means it's coming from up top and dripping down. So we have multiple places where oil is leaking from. Okay, so here we have that Chrysler 300 that I just put a video out on the other day about that oil pan is cracked and it's leaking oil like crazy. So, you know, the customer is buying oil every single day, and I told him, hey, I have used oil sitting in my garage. Stop wasting money on new oil, just dumping it out. If you want, I could give you the used oil and you pour it in. Everyone's happy, right? Now they're planning on getting rid of this car. They don't want it. They're gonna trade it in or whatever. So I give it to them. It's been like 2 days, and now he calls me saying that the oil I gave them is causing the car to smoke like a lot. So I'm like, I don't see how, but okay, bring the car over. So he said his daughter put the oil in. Now keep in mind, this is her first car, just learned how to drive. So the first thing I asked him is, did she overfill the oil? He's like, no. Alright, so let's go ahead and check it. Okay. I don't know about you, but to me that looks like it's overfilled. Look where that oil level's at. That's why there's smoke coming out, because there's way too much oil in this engine now. But it's funny how everyone is just so quick to blame the mechanic. Yep, so now here I am draining some of the oil out because they put too much oil in it, and blamed me, of course, for the bad oil that I gave them. Okay, so we've got a 2015 Hyundai Sonata. I think it's a 15. Anyways, as you can see, customers have been driving around like this, but the brakes, just looking at them, you could tell that the pads really aren't making contact with the rotor because of the amount of rust or surface rust that's on them. So here goes the pads, and tell you what, these things are just seized in place. They will not move for anything. So that's the reason why these back brakes are not working. Okay, so I just got the rotor off, and as you can see, this thing needs brake shoes. And the last person who was in here, they couldn't even bother to line up the hole that's drilled into the rotor to line up with the screw hole to hold the rotor down. Some people just don't care. Okay, so putting everything back together, and now it's time to put the new brake pads on. which the old one that has a hammer off. So let's see how these fit. Oh, look at that. They just slide right in like they're supposed to. There you go. It's not that hard to do brakes if you do it right. Okay, so obviously I'm trying to get the brakes done, but I found another problem. And I know it was because of the last person that was in here. Number one, because someone did a shit job at changing these brakes. And number two, because I could see that this has been replaced, because that's not OEM. So anyway, I took off this arm and I noticed there's a lot of play in it. Look at this. Yep. I'm not even, actually, I could even see the fastener back there move. I don't even think it's tight. Yep. And I told a lady an estimate of 2 hours to get her brakes done, and she was shocked that it would take me so long. And this is why. Because I actually do the job right. I don't do crap like this. Plus, you always want to give the customer a good time window. You know, you don't want to tell anyone 30 minutes and then it takes you 8 hours. But yep,